All right, so I'm gonna start working on, we've got the salad niçoise today. We have the tart, mushroom tart, and we have, what else? The baguette. Share my screen. So I'm going to start working on, we've got the mushroom tart, we have the salad niçoise, and we've got baguette. There's a lot of things that need to happen with the niçoise salad, also the baguette and the mushroom tart. So I've got to kind of have them all going pretty much around the same time. So I'm going to start working on, I'm going to get a couple of pots going to blanch off my green beans, all the stuff for the niçoise salad. And I'm going to be making my baguette. If you don't have any, you're going to need pie dough made. Hopefully you saved it from, what was it, Monday? When we made pie dough, Tuesday. More for the part. And we get water going. For blanching of the vegetable. Recipe up. Okay, so niçoise has hard-boiled eggs. So I've got a boiled egg. So I'm going to get my eggs out. And I'm going to start that. Cooking off my eggs for my niçoise salad. So I'm working on the niçoise salad right now. I'm going to start blanching off and cooking everything. I've got my eggs, for my hard-boiled eggs. I'm going to put them into the water. I always put it in cold, let it come up to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil, about 8 minutes, 6 to or 8 minutes or so. I've got also, I need, those are my hard-boiled eggs. I also need to get my green beans, some bell peppers, red potatoes also need to be blanched off. All this stuff has to be cooked and cool. This is a big salad, cold salad. So I've got my hard-boiled eggs going. I'm going to get my red potatoes that I have right here. I'm gonna cut this into quarters, something like that. If you want to, if this is a bigger potato, you might want to cut it a little bit smaller. So I'm just getting my potatoes cut. There's my potatoes. I don't need much. I need enough for one salad. Let me get some salt in my pot. Got my pot on, and I've got my potatoes here. I like to start off with the potatoes in cold water. Why? Because it'll evenly heat up. So my potatoes are going in this pot right over here. I've got my hard-boiled eggs going on over here. I need once this pot for my potatoes come up to simmer, I can actually blanch off my green beans, but I need to make sure my green beans are all squared up, ready to go. And I'm going to kind of look at it, see, make sure that there's no stems, and you see a stem right there. No one wants to have a stem. So you need to, these are commercially cleaned, but what a lot of times people will, or the machines or whoever's cutting it might miss a little bit of that. So trimming off any of the ends, plus a commercially trimmed green bean. What they do is they have this little kind of a device that kind of goes to the green bean and clips it off, but it puts a lot of pressure on the green bean and it kind of bruises the outside or the area where they clipped. So a lot of times I like to just trim off the ends just so it looks nice, has a good appearance. Okay, so what I've gotten so far is I've got my hard-boiled eggs starting to go. Once it comes up to a boil, I'll start my timer. My potatoes in salt water right now are going. Once they come up to a simmer, I can blanch these green beans off as well with that. So I've got that going, potatoes. The bell peppers, I just need to cut up there. I don't need to worry about it. Artichoke we don't have, so that's fine. Green beans, cucumber, I can just cut whenever. The chicory, if people are looking for the chicory, sometimes you can't find it, but this stuff called frise, this little kind of bumpy, it's more of a spicy chicory lettuce, is a little more on the spicier side. If you get like a mixed green, it's like a bag of mixed greens or whatever else, that works just fine. And if you don't have that, you can just use whatever. I really don't care, as long as it's lettuce. I've got the stuff that's going to need to be that's going to need to be cooked and cooled is going right now. So my eggs, my potatoes, and my green beans, I haven't started them yet, but I will use the same water as I use my potatoes. But once they, my potatoes get kind of cooked, and then I'll do the green beans. Okay, so that is my salad. I'll come back to it in a little bit. right? So, so that's the niçoise. I need to make a baguette, and I need to deal with the mushroom tart. Well, if you have not, if you did not save your pie dough that I said you should save the extra pie dough for the following couple of days that we did, what was it, on Monday, I think, or Tuesday, whenever we did pie dough. I have my leftover pie dough. This will be for my tart, mushroom tart. So I'm gonna kind of look at the mushroom tart. Okay, this doesn't take that long. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is if you have not already, if you do not have the pie dough already made, you need to make the pie dough. Okay, and then I would say after you make the pie dough, then you, while that's cooling and just kind of chilling, then you can make the baguette. So if you do not have the pie dough, I would suggest you making the pie dough right now while your eggs are cooking and your potatoes are cooking and all of that sort of stuff and your green beans are cooking. You make your pie dough, let that sit and cool for a little bit. And while you're letting that cool, you can make the baguette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, make my baguette now because I already have my pie dough already made. I pulled it out of the cooler, grab it back into the cooler for a little bit because I'm going to be doing my baguette first. And it is getting a little warm in the kitchen. And on Monday. So my water is coming up to a simmer on my eggs. Once it comes up, I'll start my timer. And my potatoes are going. I'm gonna click on the baguette recipe. Okay, so it's water, yeast, flour, and salt. So I'm gonna weigh out the flour first and kind of get everything situated. So I have the baguette. Cool down my eggs, cool down my potatoes, cool down my green beans. My eggs have just come up to boil, so I'm gonna set my time. I just do not want those eggs to be overcooked. Got that going. Now let's start working on my baguette. Okay, so we need, what is that, 32 ounces. Bread flour. Ooh, there's 32 ounces of bread flour right there. We need, what is it, 4 teaspoons of salt. I'll have off to the side. I do not want to. I can kind of put. I can put it into the flour mixture, but I don't want it in by my yeast. All right, my salt is in there. I need to, I'm gonna just mix that salt in with the flour. Bada bing, bada boom. My potatoes have come up to a simmer now. I'll be managing that, watching that. And then I need my yeast. So I'm gonna get a bowl. I'm gonna get a mixer and I'm gonna do the bread and mix it and yeast on that side. Potatoes are my meat slop. I've got to manage that. Potatoes are going. They're not done yet. I'm just checking. And I'm going to get my yeast. What is that? 2 tablespoons or teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of yeast. And about 90 to 100 degree water. How much? About 21 ounces. I'm going to get not hot. I don't want it hot because I want to kill it. Kill the yeast, but I need it nice and warm. Need to check on the potatoes. Potatoes are cooking. My So I need what, 21 ounces. Check my potatoes real quick. My eggs are about a minute away. Ten 5 ounces of water right there. I need another 10.5 ounces. 21. Okay, so I'm just putting the yeast in. I've got the yeast in my mixing bowl. I'm gonna let that sit for a couple minutes and take out my eggs and shock those guys. My potatoes, they're done. I'm going to take them out and shock those. I don't want to overcook my potatoes. Claw of potatoes. I've got to cook my green beans, so I'm going to make sure my water is at a boil. Cook my green beans. My yeast is kind of just sitting there in warm water for a few minutes. My green beans are cooking. So I'm going to take out my potatoes out of my ice because I don't want my potatoes to, I don't want any of this to sit and get all mushy. My green beans are blanching. Take out this and then I'll start on the spread. The green beans are the only thing I'm kind of waiting on right now to take out. While that's going, I'm gonna go check on, I can see my yeast kind of moving around a little bit in this water. So I'm gonna go ahead and here's the mixer right here. I'm gonna just turn it on low, start feeding my flour into it. I'm gonna just let that go for a second. I'm gonna go ahead, my green beans are done, so I need to take them out. And then my green beans, everything is kind of chopped. Lay them out because I do need to dry them off because I don't want wet product. Because if I'm using a wet product, you want to get it wet, but not. If I can untangle my camera a little bit. See my dough is getting formed, coming together. You see here are my potatoes, eggs, and green beans that I need to take out and dry off. I need to kind of get. All right, hard boiled eggs in here. Get those guys out. Okay, my green beans. So my baguette still going, doing its thing. I'm using the mixer just because I've out of ease for just myself, because I can be doing other things. Okay, so baguette still going. My potatoes cooked. So I got my potatoes here already cooked. Green beans cooked. My hard-boiled eggs, I just need to shell them, and I'll shell them in a few minutes. What I can do is I can put this in the fridge and keep them nice and cool, because this is going to be a salad. So, salad. Struggling a little bit. I'm gonna let that go a little bit longer and just do its thing. So my baguette is pretty much done. All I need to do now is get a bowl and plastic wrap. Warm, not hot, but warm, so where it'll double in its size. You want it to double in its size. So that's very important. And I'm done with my painting water, so I can take these 2 pots of painting water or water. Longer. Baguette needs to it needs to kind of pull from the sides. Right. You can see the dough pulling away. Should be nice and smooth. I'm going to stop it for a second, because sometimes it creeps up onto the dough hook. So then I'll take it off. That's going on right there. that's that. I've got my bowl right here, ready. Then I need plastic wrap. I've got over here to wrap it up. I'm going to stop it and I'm going to take a little piece of this dough off, and I'm going to stretch it like this. This is called a window test. And if it doesn't rip and it ripped like that, it needs longer. If it doesn't rip and stretches nice and easily and does not tear, then it is ready. But mine needs a couple more minutes, so I'm gonna let that go. So I've got, now everything else is kind of, for the salad, it's just a bunch of cutting. Hold on a second. So for the salad, there you go. It's a lot of cutting up stuff now, and just kind of doing stuff. I'm gonna wait on that because everything else is pretty much squared up. All the stuff that needs to be cooked. So it's just basically cutting and assembling. So I'll do that in a little bit. The next thing I would say is your tart, your mushroom tart. And once I get my baguette done out of here, that'll free up a little room for me for the mushroom tart, because I'm gonna have to roll out my pie dough. And if you do not have pie dough, you're gonna need to make some. I said it on Monday or Tuesday, whenever I said that you would need to save a little of the pie dough for another day, and that is today for the mushroom tart. A baguette, you have to mix it up pretty good. But, I mean, there's not much in there. It's flour, salt, sugar, and yeast. It's not starting to smooth out. Looking good. Take a little bit. I'm gonna do a window test and see where I'm at. Good. About 4 more minutes. Now, tomatoes, you've got whole tomatoes or cherry tomatoes. Don't have tomatoes, fine. All right, if you don't have it. All right, so there we go. My dough is good. Take it. Hand spray, I like to do a little light hand spray. Hand spray this thing. Go. Nice and smooth like that. Looks beautiful. Take it out. Get in the bowl. I'm gonna put plastic wrap over it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna until you understand how things double in its size. So what I took is I put a little Sharpie around a little circle around on my plastic wrap, so where I can see where it started and how wide it's gotten. So I'm going to just kind of put it warm, but not like too hot, because I do not want it to cook. We just want it to ferment or proof. Actually, the first part is fermentation. That I need to remove under here, mixer. You guys, I need to run into the storeroom real quick. I'll be right back. All right, so I've got my Niçoise stuff all blanched off, ready. I've got my, I'm gonna just have to cut up everything and get everything situated for that. I've got my baguette dough proofing or fermenting right now. And then now I'm gonna work on my tart. Okay, mushroom and leek tart. Let's talk about this. You want to heat butter in a large saute pan, add the leeks, garlic, mushrooms, saute until tender, add salt, pepper, herbage, and cream. until it thickens. Adjust with seasoning, remove, let it cool, add the Gruyere. Roll pate brisé or pie dough, aka pie dough, approximately 1/4 inch thick in circles, approximately 9 inches, or however you, whatever size you want. You're gonna, let's see, circles. You're gonna fold the edges and then you're going to kind of crimp the sides. You're gonna fill the tart with 6 ounces of the leek and mushroom filling. You're gonna spread into the edges. You're gonna cook you're gonna cook it until it's nice and done. Okay, so we are going to need to get, I need to get like tart pans or something for, and we can use those small pans. So something like these guys right here, you could do this, whatever floats your boat. Okay, so, but I'm gonna need to do some cutting and all of that. So I'm gonna get my mushrooms. I need to slice them. Oh, so here are my mushrooms. Putting in the leeks. For my leeks, all you need is the green or the white part, no green part. If you want to use the green part here for stock, if you so desire. At the ends of my leeks, I'm gonna cut it in half, just like so. I'm gonna rinse these guys off. Sometimes leeks have dirt on these guys. Right now, what I'm gonna do with these leeks, I'm gonna cut these leeks in half again because the tart pan is not too big, and I need to make sure that my leeks are cut small enough. My mushrooms will kind of shrink up a little bit. Leeks. And I need what? Garlic, I think. Garlic, leeks. I need to get some thyme. And Gruyere cheese. Don't see thyme. Garlic. Luckily, my COVID vaccine worked because I tested negative for COVID since my daughter tested positive, but I'm actually not living. I'm in New Braunfels right now. I let my daughter is at our house, and I'm staying. My parents are gone right now, so I'm staying at my parents' house until my daughter gets for about 2 weeks. So I won't be around my daughter. Accidentally get me sick or something. But that's the vaccine does. All right, so I have got my garlic here. Now I'm going to go ahead and change my cutting board. I don't want garlic cutting board any longer. Well, I'm going to start cooking this stuff off. I'm going to find a pan, a proper pan. Get some fat, butter. I like to use butter. Put it on the heat, put the pan on the heat, and get some butter in there. And then I'm going to start cooking my mushrooms first. My mushrooms, the pan needs to be hot. Mushrooms need color. So I'm going to cook off. Butter in a pan. I'm going to start cooking my shroomage. Right in here. Salt in there. I like to put a little salt with my shrooms. Why? Because it helps pull out some of that moisture. And that's our goal. Our goal is to pull out all the moisture. Mushrooms have a lot of moisture and a lot of water. I don't want a lot of moisture in this because we're doing a tart, right? I don't want my tart to be all wet and gooey. So this is going. I'm going to grab a. While I'm sitting here, waiting on my mushrooms to cook. Go, Gruyere is created. Cooking those shrooms. Wow, cheesy. So here is grated. I need to get cream. Get some time. Keep cooking down. Search for some vaccine. Check on my shrooms. See my mushrooms cooking down right there. You get my leeks in. Put a little more butter in there, and I'll put in my garlic. And let that cook down. I've got some fresh thyme. If you don't have fresh thyme, you can just use dried thyme. If you don't have dried thyme, you don't need to use thyme. I'm just picking it. Chopping it up. Putting it in. Cook down a skosh. I'm going to go try to find some cream. So give me a second. shell now. I've got to try to find some cream. I'm gonna have to go to a different kitchen and see if there's some cream. I want to show y'all. Here's the leeks, the mushrooms, the garlic, all in there. Doing the things. All right, so here's my mushroom, leeks, garlic, all of that sitting right here. I'm gonna go ahead and add the cream. I'm gonna let that reduce down or kind of thicken up. Salt, some black pepper. So let's see what we have here. We've got Gruyere cheese. We need some fresh, basil or dried basil or fresh basil, thyme, cream, Parmesan, and egg wash. So I've got my cream reducing right here in the pan with my yeast and all of that. We need to grate up some parm. I got to grate up parm that I did for here. So I'm going to do parm, and then I'm going to do get the egg wash ready. And then I'm going to need to kind of start rolling out my pate brisée, or AKA pie dough. Parm grated right here. Oh yeah, and I need to get a little bit of basil. or some people call it basil. Right. That's that. Clean and producing. Still, it's kind of thick, right? So we're gonna let that just kind of cook and reduce down a little bit. I'm gonna get a container to put. I need to crack an egg and beat up an egg and use that as an egg wash. Plus, I need to actually look at my dough as well, my baguette dough in a few minutes because it looks. I haven't looked at it in a little while. Again, egg wash is there to give it some shine, some glisten factor, and it also helps protect it from the cream or the mixing stuff too. You can see, here's the mushroom tart mixture. We'll let that reduce down just a skosh more. And then I'll add my cheese and let that sit and cool. And then I'll work on my pie dough and roll that out. Also, going to give it a look-see on my biggity baguette. You can see how my baguette dough has almost doubled in its size. Let that sit for a few more minutes and I'll jack with it. So here's my mushroom tart mixture right here. You can see how it's thickened up. I'm going to let this just kind of sit and cool as it's kind of cooling. Or I'm going to add my queso, my Parmesan, my Gruyere. Mix that all around, give it a hokey pokey. There we go. You kind of see how thick it's gotten, and as it sits and cools, it will thicken up even a little bit more. I need to make sure I taste it. Tastes good. Oh, there is the tart mixture. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And I'm going to put it in a different pan. Let it cool. There it is. I'm going to just let it sit and cool for a little bit. And then I'll finish my tart pan. So my baguette dough is done. My tart filling is done. Now I need to work on the tart dough. And roll that dough out. So I'm going to kind of clean up my station a little bit because I'm going to have to roll out dough. And if my station is dirty or has a bunch of filth and muck and mud and muck on there, then that could cause my dough to look ugly. I'm going to clean up an area, wipe down my table, and get a rolling pin. And then I just need to form, I'm going to form my, after I form my tart, get my tarts together, then I'm going to roll out my baguette. So where then it can, because it's fermented, now it's got a proof after I roll it out into the proper shaping. French baguette. Oui, oui. All right. So, got some flour here for dusting. I need to get a rolling pin, and I need to get my pie. So I've got my pie dough sitting right here. I'm gonna get some flour, dust it on the table, bada bing, bada boom. Here's my pie dough. It's kind of a little too cool, so I'm gonna let that sit for a second. While I'm letting it sit, I'm gonna just go ahead and deal with my bag. Get a pan, parchment paper. All right, pie dough. So I'm gonna get my pie dough. I'm gonna roll out my pie dough, make sure it's nice and thin. Making sure that it doesn't stick. And again, like I was talking about when I was making the, what was it? The strudel. The strudel the dough didn't stick as much to the table because the butter was cut in a lot smoother. Now this one, pie dough, the butter wasn't as cut in, right? So where it's a little more chunkier, the butter is. So when the butter sticks to the stainless steel table, it tends to stick. So I've got to just make sure that I dust this pretty well. Here we go. Take my pans, whatever I'm going to line it, I need the pan spray. Get a little bit of pan spray on it. That or oil it down or rub it down. But I'm going to just pan spray these. put my dough, right in here, kind of push it down. And then I'm gonna form it. And do whatever. You want it to kind of hang over a little bit because it tends to stretch or to shrink up. There we go. There's this. Now I'm going to get a fork and I'm going to dock it. Why am I docking it? This is called docking because you don't want it to balloon up. You don't want it to kind of souffle up. This helps prevent it from souffling or coming up. That little, sure that fits in here. Dock it. Make sure it doesn't. I'm going to take my mixture right here. It's still not cool enough, so I'm going to put it in the fridge. I don't want it too hot to go. It's going to make my dough a lot soggier. So I just need to be very careful with that. So I'm going to cool that off just a touch more. I'm going to just maybe make one more of these, and then I'll be done. I'm going to work on my bread at that point. There we go. Well, this dough also needs to rest, right? Because if I cook it immediately, it will cinch up on me. So I don't want that. So I'm going to just put this in the cooler to where it doesn't get too hot. While I'm waiting, while I'm rolling out and dealing with my you have any extra pie dough left over, you can always add a little bit of butter, cinnamon, and sugar, and that's a really good, and then bake it, and it's a really good, just kind of a snack. So I'll put this in the fridge because I don't want the pie dough sitting all over. And now roll out my baguettes and get that ready to, for the proofing. We need to now scale it out, form it, shape it, and then it needs to proof a little longer. So I'm going to get something straight. A bench scraper is always a good thing to have. It scrapes down your station really easily. So it's all
Yes,
enough.
Chef, we
Yeah.
made baguette with Chef Ritter.
You did? Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Good, good. All right, so my dough has doubled in its size. Now I just need to punch it down or and then form it. So I'm going to take this. Take it out of, it looks beautiful, beautiful dough. Take it out. Okay, I'm going to split it in half. We need half, so I'm going to make two baguettes. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take it and I'm going to lay it out, and I like to ball it up first. And then I take this, I'm going to stretch it out, press it down. And I'm going to start folding it into each other, just like so. Pressing down, pressing down. I'm going to get a little bit of flour on the table. Start in the middle. Pulling it up. Pinching it. The seam, making sure that a little bit of flour. You don't want too much flour because you don't want it to dry it out. And typically, a French baguette is the length of a full sheet pan. Now, I know you're at home, right? So your most home home ovens cannot handle a traditional baguette because of the length of it. But it is kind of traditional length. Take my baguette. You want it kind of rounded or pointed. Pointed means it's more of a French baguette. Rounded, it's more of a American style baguette. You want it about the same thickness across the board. Make sure the seam side is down. If the seam side is up, it's going to look not so nice. I'm cutting off the ends because it's hanging over a little too much. And I didn't push it, actually pushing it out. So now I'm going to just let that sit. I need to do need to cut it. That helps get the air and it has somewhere to escape instead of it blowing up. Now I'm gonna cover this up, or you can put a trash bag over it. You can cover it up with a plastic wrap, whatever. You just got to be careful that it doesn't stick to your dough. So I'm going to let this sit and proof over here. It's going to double in its size. Bing, bada, boom. And that's that. I'm going to get my tarts out. Okay, I need my brush. brush my egg on this tart pan. I want my oven at 400 degrees. Got a few tarts kind of set up if I need it for if something happens. Little oh crap type of deal. I need to make sure that my filling tastes good. Yep. Take my filling. Make sure that any of the edges I'm rub down with a little egg. And just make sure the tart, your mixture, you need to make sure it's seasoned properly. Sometimes, you know, when you're putting Gruyere cheese, when you're putting Parmesan, all of that Parmesan and Gruyere, that creates some saltiness. So if you are heavy-handed with the salt, I would be very careful with how much salt you put in at first, because it could easily you could over season it, especially once you put in your cheeses, because that tends to cause that saltiness. These tarts can sit for a while, so I'm okay with making them, you know, cooking them now and letting them sit. So there we have it. Here are my tarts right here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to change the sheet pan I had holes in it. I don't want it to, if it overflows, I don't want it to go everywhere. So I'm going to bake this until nice and golden brown. I will probably, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese on about halfway through, just to give it a little color. So that's it on the tart. The baguettes are sitting and chilling right now, just kind of proofing, right? So now I'm going to kind of clean up and start trying to cut up everything for my salad. Everything else is pretty much done. The stuff that needs to be cooked for my salad is cooked. I need to cut up the vegetables. I need to make a vinaigrette. And then I just need to plate it all up. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm gonna take a second and clean up my station and put away what I don't need. And,
Excuse me, Chef.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, when I went to school, they didn't give me cucumbers, tomatoes. I was checking the whole list last night.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. So you don't need cucumbers.
Okay.
And you don't have to have the tomatoes in there.
Okay. Just want you to know when you see pictures.
Yeah, I remember. I do remember that because I forgot to get the Because you were the first person, I think, right?
Yes.
I'm here, yeah. So,
Okay, chef, no problem.
I'll
And
just
chef,
be,
do I go
and
Monday now? To
can you
pick
say it
up,
again?
do I go Monday early to pick up for next week?
You-
Oh,
Yes, yes, everybody needs to, if you're picking up your product, you come in tomorrow, Monday morning. You know, you can, I'm gonna be here, I would say between, you know, school time to no later than 1 o'clock.
okay, chef, I'll be there early,
So, cool.
bright and early.
All right, yeah, and why don't you call me or text me before, just to
Yes,
make
I
sure
will.
that-
I will, chef.
Because I don't have a key to the storeroom, and if they're not here yet, or if I haven't gotten it all pulled out, then you're gonna have to sit and wait for a little while, so I don't want you to have to sit and wait. So just kind of, and I will have the grocery list printed out for y'all, and I'll have your boxes kind of open and ready. Y'all are just gonna have to start, adding stuff to the boxes. So that's kind
Sounds
of how
cool.
it's gonna be. But yeah, cool.
Thank you,
So-
chef.
You're welcome. So I'm now just going to start working on cutting up all the stuff for my salad. I'm gonna need to pull up that salad recipe real quick and let's look. So the tart is done. It's cooking right now. The baguettes are proofing right now. So I don't, that's kind of taken care of. So the next thing is the niçoise. So the vinaigrette, it's just red wine vinegar, salt, pepper, and olive oil. Then you've got some basil chiffonade. So I'm gonna kind of gather up all of this stuff real quick. So I need basil, I need cucumber. All right. I'm just kind of gathering up everything, bringing it to my station. So where then do is thing is, so basil leaves. Okay. And my food. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, just start cutting up stuff. I'm gonna work on chiffonading my basil real quick. Make sure I have a sharp knife for my when I chiffonade, because if I have a dull knife, it's gonna bruise it. Bruise my basil, and I don't want my basil bruised because it'll oxidize and turn kind of black or dark. I also need to not forget about my tarts. Turn my tart pans around and turn it down a little bit lower. My baguettes are still proofing. Need a little more time. I'm gonna get my basil. nice fine chiffonade. There we go. The chiffonade basil. Put it off to the side. We'll go ahead. What does it say? Bâtonnet, my bell peppers. Okay, when you deal with the bell pepper, you want to make sure you take the seeds out. Then take this little white membrane. That white membrane tends to get bitterness. Bitter. So this is Bâtonnet. And again, this is all, it needs to look nice, right? Because this is in a salad and it's going to be right in front of the customer. I'm going to trim the end off because I want it nice and even. Go, my nice Bâtonnets right here. Put that off to the side. Any vegetable scraps I always save for vegetable stock. Any sort of vegetable stock. All right, I've got my cucumber right here. If you have a cucumber, if you don't, totally fine. It's not the end of the world. You're only doing one small salad, so you don't need a bunch of stuff. Tomato, if you have it. If you have cherry tomatoes, that might be better. You know, I'm up. It's up to you. I'm just gonna cut these to where it's able to eat it a little bit, because this is a salad. You don't want to. In this salad, unfortunately, or fortunately, you know, usually you use a knife and fork, you know, a combination, because there is a lot of bigger things to this salad. That I need to, I smell my tart. I need to check my tart. Okay, there's my tart, nice and golden brown on top. See that? Okay. I'm gonna just let this sit. And actually, let it sit. So I've got my bell peppers, my tomatoes, my all right, so tomatoes, cucumber, green beans, I need to cut my lettuce. I need to deal with my tuna, and I need to make my vinaigrette. So, and I need to fill my eggs. I spilled some yeast. Okay, so my tarts are done. You see them right there. These are my tarts. Bada bing, bada boom. Nice and golden brown. I'm gonna just keep it off to the side, keep it warm. And then I'm going back to my salad. I also need to check my baguette. Let's see where my baguette is. See my baguette's doing its thing. Let me see. You can see there's my baguette right here. I'll let that proof just a skosh longer. And then we will bake it. And I think for the baguette, I think it is 400 degrees. Where's my mouse? I think we're gonna have to bake it at 400 degrees until done. I'm just peeling my eggs right now. My hard-boiled eggs. Should have did that earlier, but I didn't. It's easier when it's hot. Yeah. I'm peeling my eggs right now. Making sure there's no shell on the outside. Off. My suggestion is once you take it out of the water, I would go ahead and peel it. It's just more of a clean play. Only do one small salad, right? Deviled egg. But the most important thing is making sure your yolk is not like gray or it's overcooked. That's the most important thing. You don't want because that egg or the yolk, when it's kind of that grayish color, it tends to have a really strong sulfur smell. Okay, so here's the egg. I'm going to cut it in half, and you can see that yolk, it's nice and yellow, but not gray. That's a perfectly cooked egg. That done. Egg is done. I need to cut up my lettuce. So I'm going to cut up my lettuce. I've already kind of rinsed the outside of it. And I'm going to cut it up, and then I'll rinse the actual head, or rinse it after I cut it as well. Making sure I kind of pick through it, any sun damaged, anything that looks ugly or out of the ordinary, you know, I like to trim up. The tips are kind of sun damaged, so I'm going to trim that off real quick. And I'm going to I think y'all have like just romaine. I don't know if you've got any like a spring mix or a mix. If you do, you can throw a little of that in there as well. If not, it's not a big deal. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to rinse it. And then I'm going to fry it. I'm going to put that in the fridge. And then by that time, I'll have my bread in the oven. My lettuce is going in there. I'll rinse it. Got a salad spinner. Salad spinner to get all the excess moisture out. Very important that you get the excess moisture out, just because of the vinaigrette is going to not stick. It's going to basically water and oil, right? So the water is just going to roll right, or the oil is going to roll right off of the vinaigrette or the greens if they're too wet, if that makes any sense. So I've got my greens rinsed and sitting there. Got my eggs done. I'm going to go ahead and open the canned tuna. Canned tuna really doesn't need anything. It's just I'm going to place it on there. And the last thing is the vinaigrette. Go look at my baguette real quick. Down my baguette. Right. Just a little too much. I'm going to put it in the oven, but when I put it in the oven, the bread, I'm going to splash a little bit of water at the bottom of the oven to where it'll steam. And that also helps with the crust. I'm going to go open up the canned tuna real quick. The can openers and another picture are installed. on tuna, it's got a lot of moisture, right? So I want to strain out this moisture. I don't want it to be oozing out on our. Strain this. If I had like fresh tuna, I would use, do a really nice sear to that tuna steak, and then I would just kind of place a nicely rare seared piece of steak right onto the to the salad. That would be really nice. And typically, this salad is like served kind of family style or in a large container, and then it's kind of off. Make it because it's got a lot of components to it, and they put in. So the vinaigrette is basically what? Just vinegar, oil, salt, pepper, and I'm going to use a little bit of mustard because mustard helps is a kind of a emulsifier. And I'll be drink too much water. All right, so I got some Dijon mustard. I'm gonna just put a little bit, and I'll show you kind of how much. I mean, just small amount in there. Gonna get my vinegar, the red wine vinegar. Take that, add it to the Dijon. And I'm gonna start mixing in my oil. I also need to look at my baguette and maybe turn it. Stop that for a second. Let's see on my baguette. Overproofed it just a little bit. A little large. That means I overproofed it. Vinaigrette, get some salt, some pepper in there. Salt, pepper. Give this a taste. Wow, very acidic. So that means I need a lot more oil to it. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, starting to thicken it up. See what it tastes like now. A lot better, but still pretty acidic. You know, when you've gotten it kind of, you know, it's starting to really thicken up, that's about where you're kind of know that it's getting close to being done. Now, I'm going to take my salad, right, in a bowl, and I'm going to start building this. This is what I call RTD, ready to eat foods, right? So you're not going to cook this anymore. So you want to make sure that you have a nice, your hands are clean and gloves on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start I'm gonna toss in some lettuce into a bowl. Or I'm gonna get my lettuce into a bowl, and I'm gonna kind of slowly add a little bit of that vinaigrette to it. But I'm also, because this greens aren't seasoned, right? So I'm gonna put some salt, some black pepper in this lettuce right here. And I've got the vinaigrette right here. I'm gonna take it, slowly kind of pour it on the outside of the bowl, and then just kind of toss it in. I use my hands because I don't want to use tongs. I don't want to beat it up. I don't want to tear it apart. Okay, so I've got my lettuce tossed in a little bit of vinaigrette. We don't want a lot. We don't want to overpower the vinaigrette or overpower it. We'll touch that vinaigrette, the salt, the pepper, toss. Make sure all of it's kind of tossed and shiny. You don't want to overdress it. It's very important that you don't overdress the salad. Okay, so my greens are tossed. Now I'm going to just start putting all the components on top of the salad. So I'm going to, since my hands are my gloves were oily and greasy, I'm going to get different ones on just because I don't want to be touching the bowl so that the customer's going to be touching and it's going to be all greasy and nasty. I do not want that. All right, so I've got my potatoes. Now my potatoes are kind of, I'm going to put a little bit of that vinaigrette on the potatoes. Toss it around. Potatoes down. Now I'm going to put my eggs. Green beans, I'm going to just get a little of that vinaigrette. Toss it because I want it to be all nice and shiny. I'm going to get a little salt and pepper on there. I'm going to put the cucumbers on the other side of the potatoes. I'm not going to toss those with vinaigrette. Placing it. Got my bell peppers. I'm not tossing with vinaigrette. I'm just gonna lay them right beside my cucumbers. Tomatoes. You have cherry tomatoes, that would probably be the best. And then tuna. Right beside. And the last thing, chiffonade basil goes on top. And then I've got a side of the vinaigrette. And I completely forgot about that. I'm gonna get my
Hey,
olives.
Chef, I have a question.
Yep.
So I have the canned tuna. Was I supposed to cook that as well?
No, no. I just opened up the can and drained out the moisture. There you go. Salad niçoise. I'll show you, and I'm gonna put the vinaigrette, side of vinaigrette. I will wait, I'll show you the second cleaning station up. So I have enough room. I need to check on my baguettes. I smell them. And here is the niçoise salad. You see how nice and colorful it is. Looks great, shiny. And here's the other one. And then we have our side of vinaigrette off to the side for the customer's pleasure of putting it on the side. And then, so that is the finished product right there. And then I will show you the finished product of the tart. Bread's almost done. I'm gonna go get a bowl for my tart. Just a warning on my baguette. My baguette's a little bit like butterfly, a little bit. Tart salad. Tart. And if you don't spray the pan well enough, it will stick. So you got to be very careful with that. Here is the leek tarts popped out. And then I need to show you the bread. Check my bread out. Anybody know what the internal temperature of bread should be when it's done? Around 190 degrees. Okay, here's my baguette right here. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. There is my baguette right here. It didn't blow up, but you can see it did have a little bit of poof right there. It should be hollow and sound. Nice golden brown and crispy, really crispy on the outside. I don't want to cut it too early, because if I cut it too early, it will be all gummy. Let me see if I can. So my tarts, my niçoise salad, and you can see this baguette right here. It got a little bit large, but here you go. So you got baguettes, tarts, and niçoise salad. Questions? Problems, concerns? Are we good?
Looks
Everybody-
good, chef.
All right, so that is what we've got. I've got side dressing right here. So here's my niçoise salad right there, my tarts, and the baguette. Nice, crispy, hard, golden brown bread. So there is this. I'm going to give away some of this food and then start kind of cleaning up. I will be back. a headphone go? All right, guys, so I'm gonna just start cleaning my station up, getting things organized. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me. But that is the production for today. So, need anything, grab me or let me know.